I guess being the firstborn in Canada of immigrant parents, that was, I, I guess, throughout time, you don't realize what you were until you sort of study it. And I had no idea about, the head tax or any of this discrimination. I just knew I was the only Chinese kid who grew up in school and, things like that. What society wanted was me to be, a married guy with a good job. I was a teacher at that time too. I married a rich Chinese girl. I was very good. Had a big wedding and life was good. So you didn't know any other life, but then I just knew that there was something that wasn't right. I guess as passion or as desire becomes more mature, you finally learn about what you like and what you don't like. I told my wife that I was gay. And, she being very pragmatic said, it's really difficult for single people to get along in life, so why don't we just carry on and maybe this is a passing fancy or whatever. We went through counseling and all that. And we lasted another 5 years, so a total of 13 years in marriage. And then I said, finally, you know what, this is not right. I just need to move on. I guess it was about 1985 or so. I think I went to my first gay event, a show put on by the Gay Asians Toronto, and they have an annual show called Celebration. And things just blossomed. I think, well, this is where I belong. This was the first time that I had experienced anything in the community. And I remember going to my first Gay Asian Toronto dance, or I can't remember what it was. It probably was a dance, and someone came and tweaked my nipples and said, do you like Asians? And I thought, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Sure, I do. And I went through some therapy on that one too, because I think it was important for me to begin to love myself. And through my therapy, they said that, you got to go sleep with another Asian guy so that you know that you love yourself. And so I did, and it's true. I sort of lived on the periphery of the gay community, but really got thrown into it when AIDS hit. The thing that spurred me on was the death of a couple of the members. And that is so sad. It's really hard to think about now, about those, 20-odd and 30-year-old people who died. And I think it was in their memory that, we went to do some work on that. I arrived in Vancouver in 1992 via Los Angeles. I had moved down to the United States to try to find a life, I guess, love and life, and it didn't happen. And then I met Ron at Numbers in the basement. He says that I picked him up, and I say he picked me up, so whatever. So I knew that, this was to be a relationship, and just to be very clear, I needed to get myself tested to make sure that, we were all open about my health status and his health status. So when I got tested, I turned out to be HIV positive. He actually talked to his physician about it, and the physician told him, well, just forget about it, just find someone new. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. So that's why we've been together since then. In, I believe, 1993, I met people through GAVA, the Gay Asians Vancouver area. And there were some activists there that wanted to do a little bit of something about HIV/AIDS, and I said, okay, let's talk about this. What are we going to do? And so that's when we began the conversation, and I think it was Henry Koo who really was the person instrumental in getting us all organized and getting going. from that, we formed a committee, and then we were under the auspices of AIDS Vancouver. We worked with the education department at AV, and then from that point on, in about 1995, created a society called Asia, or actually it began as the AIDS project at one time with AIDS Vancouver, ASAP, I believe it was called, and then it developed into Asia. In 1995, I became also chair of the board for AIDS Vancouver. The work at AIDS Vancouver was really interesting. I think I was the first Asian chair that they had, and openly positive as well. I didn't hide that fact. It was so overwhelming. And funding was just, always very traumatic. And it was just a series of politicking and networking, and how do we get more funding for AV, and how do we get funding for this, and how do we do this, and it was all project run. The words in Cantonese relates to a love sickness. So when we talk about HIV/AIDS, the difficulty is that, first of all, Asian people do not talk about sex. So how do you start the conversation, or where do we learn how to either begin the dialogue? So that was the difficult aspect of even dealing with HIV/AIDS. The mainstream AIDS organizations, I guess they were mired in their own dilemmas as well, and they didn't realize the diversity. They just had this big thing called HIV/AIDS that they had to deal with. And it's just beyond the fact that we all eat rice and do whatever, that we all have, this color skin and that color hair. There's such a diversity amongst Asian people who have grown up in other parts of the world, Asians who are Muslim, and Christians, and we have Buddhists, and all different types of beliefs. So amongst Asians, there was so much diversity. One of the activities I think that is really good are, the Positive Asian dinners that are running. There has to be some work that is done, and I know it's a tremendous amount of thought and work, but even this Positive Asian dinner is something, not a huge thing, but it's so important for a group of people just to get together and have that conversation with fellow people, that gathering. I think when I look back to those days, the work at AIDS Vancouver was very, I guess, it assisted me in becoming a stronger person. And if I look back at that, it's probably helped me become part of the community, and that was important for me.